Welcome to After the Last Dog, a co-hosted podcast for grooming and pet care business owners who are wearing all the hats and still trying to make the business run smoother behind the scenes. I'm Jennifer Opel. My episodes address the teams and training perspective.
And I'm Dara Forleo. I bring the owner's perspective. We're your hosts. Every week, we will both share an episode to the same business challenge, what's happening, why it keeps happening, and a solution for what you can do next. What hat are you wearing right now? Welcome to After the Last Dog. I am Dara Forleo, and we are here talking about the business side of grooming and pet care after the appointments are done. Because a busy salon still needs a business behind it. And today's episode, you are gonna love because you're not even going on vacation for this one. And you're not disappearing for a week to go play in your garden. You walked out of the business for 1 hour. 1 hour to run an errand, go to the grocery store. You stepped out because you had to do something that you couldn't wait to do. Maybe you didn't even step out. Maybe you're in the back of the grooming room and you're just thinking, I just need 10 quiet minutes to get through this grooming appointment. And you know what? Even while you were gone, you were never really gone, right? Part of you has been sitting there waiting for your phone to ring, waiting to be interrupted, waiting because you know part of you is sitting there going, what decisions should somebody make that they're not gonna? And part of you already knew the minute that you looked down at that phone, there was a problem and your name was gonna be on it. And what are those questions looking like? Can we squeeze in so-and-so today? What do I tell her again about the matting fee? Can you call this client back? They had a question. Are we supposed to brush out Charlie before or after? Yeah, Sally's upset. She really needs to talk to you. And by the time you get back, everything is collapsed. Everything is going in completely opposite directions. Somebody's frustrated. Client is waiting for you to make that answer. And you are standing there thinking, I wasn't even gone. I barely left. What the heck happened? Why did this fall apart? I walked out for an hour. And maybe you don't even have to say it out loud because you feel guilty saying it, but you know you're thinking it. You know your team needs help. I mean, they do. That's part of our job is to help them, right? You know they are trying. You absolutely know that not every situation is as simple or is going to be the same, but deep down, you are tired of being the person every single question comes back to. You are tired of feeling like the salon only works if you are right there. And today, I want to tell you what is actually happening because it is probably not what you think. And you're going to be happy to hear that this does not mean you need to stop grooming because that's what you do. You love it. That's why you opened a grooming salon. You don't need to step away from your clients. You do not suddenly have to become somebody who is sitting by a desk all day, even though I like doing that. Doesn't mean everybody else likes doing that, but you don't have to do that. You have built something very personal. You have clients who trust you and you know your work. You know the dogs. You know all of this. You know what I'm saying and you know where I'm going with this. You know what good care looks like. And you have probably been keeping the business moving through all those rough days that would have made a lot of other people stomp on it and put it in the trash and walk away. So this is not about taking away that part of you that made the salon successful. It is about protecting it. That's what we do as business owners. We have to protect our businesses because there is a difference between being needed because you are valuable and being needed because the entire business has to borrow your brain every single time a decision needs to be made. That is a very, very different kind of pressure. And I bet you never thought about it in those terms. So this is called the owner shadow, right? We all have our little owner shadows. And your shadow is this unwritten version of the salon that is running behind you like Peter Pan peanut butter, but like Peter Pan trying to find that shadow, right? That is following you all over the place. And it is your own judgment. It's your instincts. It's your standards. It is your memory. It is your ability to look at a situation and immediately know, this is why this has to happen. This is what matters. Here is what we are going to do about this. Here is what we do not do. Here is when this becomes a much bigger issue than it needs to be. So let's back that up. Your team may know how to do their tasks. They may know how to bathe the dog, right? They may know how to check in. They're doing everything. They know how to put the appointments in. We know this. You know all this. They know how to do all that. They know how to clean, prep, call, text, communicate, all of that. They got that. But what happens when something is not straightforward? This is that gray area, right? When the dog is more matted than expected. What happens when a client is running late? When the day is running behind? Because we all know it's never not going to be sometimes on time. When someone asks for an exception of the rule. When a team member does not know whether to charge, reschedule, say yes, say no, call you, call who, talk to who, say what did I do, right? This is when they step into your owner shadow. They look for you. They wait for you. They text you. They call you. Then they ask maybe somebody else, what would she do? What do you think she would do? Should we call her? What should we do? I don't know. And then it becomes uncomfortable. And then they become uncomfortable. And then they want to call, but then they don't want to call because they don't want to bother you. But they want to call because they don't know what to do. And then what happens, right? So now you got all these, oh my God. And then what? I don't know. So the good news about this uncomfortableness is your salon may not be dependent on your physical presence. Excuse me. It may depend on your unspoken decisions. When you leave the building, the rules leave with you. Amazing. Oh my God. That is, yes, they leave with you. There are 3 invisible jobs that you probably don't even realize you were doing every single day. They are called the compass, the call, and the catch. The compass, this is what matters most, right? You know what matters most because you built the business. You know that the dog's safety matters more than rushing through an unrealistic schedule. You know client trust matters more than saying yes to every request. You know that a price conversation needs to happen before somebody adds that to the groom. You know that a team member being overwhelmed is not something we ignore until the day completely explodes in our face. You know these things instinctively, but your team may not know what gets protected first when 2 things compete. They may not know the priority behind these things, and that is the compass. The call is, what decisions am I actually allowed to make? That is where your team gets stuck. They know the task, but they don't know their decision making. They don't know where that lives in their lane. They don't know, can I offer this? Can I move this? Can I call this client? Should I call this client? Can I add this charge? Should I add this charge? Should I say no? Can I say no? Can I fix the whole thing without getting so-and-so? Should I fix this? And when people don't know what they are authorized to decide, they do what feels safest. They bring it to you because that's natural. They don't want to get in trouble. They don't want to be on the wrong end of the decision. And that is because they don't want to make the wrong call. Now, the catch is, what do we do when the day does not go as planned? And I don't want to hear our day is perfect every day, because I know for a fact that is not grooming reality. The day will not always go as planned. No matter what, we always have to be prepared for the what if. Dog comes in. We're going to keep using this matted situation here. Dog comes in with more coat than expected. Or, a good one, the dreaded late client, right? Oh God, we all love those. Someone is behind, a client is upset, and whoop, there we go. Somebody just called out. Then the pickup times change. And now here we go. You are in the catch. Did you just solicit what happened there? Did you just notice that? Like, come on, what's going on here? Who's going to fix this, okay? If you're not there, who is going to fix this? Because somebody has to make a decision. You have to decide. You have to smooth it over. You have to protect the client relation. You have to make a new plan. You have to absorb all of that emotional stress on top of the situation as well. That is why you are exhausted. You're not just doing your job, you're doing those other 3 jobs. You are being the compass, you are making the calls, and you are having to deal with the catch for everyone else. Okay, let's put this into perspective. A dog comes in for groom. Once that dog is being started, it is very clear to everyone in the room there is much more matting and undercoat than expected. Now, this is not only a grooming decision, it's a salon decision. Your team needs to know, do we pause the groom? Do we contact the client and get an approval for a different grooming plan and potential added fee? Who contacts the client? What do they say? What happens if the client says no? Can we reschedule? Do we absorb the extra time? What happens? And before long, everyone is once again, heads are swiveled and looking at you. You may think, I already taught them this. I already talked about this. They know about matting. They know our dematting fee. They know about our deshedding fee. And I'm sure you have time and time again. But knowing what matting is or hearing the policy once is not the same as having a full discussion about it. Your team needs to know 3 things. What matters most at this point? The compass, the dog's welfare, a client conversation, and no surprises at checkout. The call. What can they do? Pause the groom, document the coat, use approved client language, get client approval before the extra work begins. The catch. When does it come back to you? When the client pushes back, the schedule must change, or the situation is outside of the normal plan. This is how your team handles the normal version without trying to guess or come back to you. And this is how you stop being pulled into every single decision routine. Your business does not need you less. It needs less mystery around what you already know. You do not have to step away from the salon. You do not have to hand every decision to someone else and pray and hope it works out for the best. You need your standards to live somewhere besides inside yourself. This is the difference between telling someone something once and giving them a standard that they can use under pressure. A standard tells your team, when this happens, this is our normal way of handling things. This is what we do not do. This is when it comes to me. This is when you come get me. That makes follow through less personal and gives everyone a steadier place to work from. Now, I want you to think back and pick one question that your team brings to you again and again and again. One could be, anything. One thing that comes back to you. And then I want you to ask yourself when you write that question down, can my team handle the normal version of this answer if I am sitting in the parking lot? If I'm just out in the parking lot, could my team handle this question without me being in the room? If the answer is no, which happens a lot, what you need to do is write down what your normal looks like. That's it. Write down what it looks like. This is what we do. More matting than expected. We pause, we document, we contact the client. That's simple. We do not begin adding dematting work, change anything about the grooming plan or the appointment, and add fees without client approval. That's it. They know. Then this comes back to me. You come to me if the client refuses the recommendation. That's not on you as the employee. That's on me. Or the schedule has to be changed because of this. Or there is an exception to the standard that you need to make that decision. So there are just some little things you can do to make that and get you out of the owner shadow. It gives it a place to be and gives your people something to reflect on themselves and go, oh, I can make those decisions. So your reflection question. What is one normal question your team still brings to you because the answer has never been written down? That's the whole thing with when things come back to you, is because it's not been documented, written down, and given to them on a regular occasion. Here is what I want you to start noticing now over the next week. Notice the questions that make you feel tight right here. The ones where you think, oh, why am I being asked this again? Why does this always become my problem? Why can't anyone just handle this? Because that feeling is giving you the information you need. It is showing you where you have become the end all stop for a decision that has never gotten finished. And I want you to write one of those down, just one. And I want you to start checking and thinking about the place where the salon keeps handing the problem back to you, right? Write that all down. Put it down, because that means it becomes a part and you can see it and it's tangible now. And now you can answer it. I do not want you thinking about the entire salon. I want you to think about the last thing that you can think of today or tomorrow or yesterday, the last thing that interrupted your day. The last question that pulled you away from that dog, the client, the minute you sat down for lunch, the one quiet moment you had, what was that? and think about that. What was the actual question they could not move past without you? Write it down exactly the way it came to you, because the question is probably not a one-timer. It has likely been showing up before, and every time it does, you become the answer, and that owner shadow stays right there next to you. And that means there is one part of the salon that still depends on your judgment. That is the work for this week. Do not try and fix it tonight. Do not sit down and try to rebuild everything at once. Just start noticing the questions and then come back. Because the minute you start catching the questions, then things are going to start coming into place. Now, you can head over to the companion blog for this episode also, because in the blog, I am going to help you take that one question that is constantly there and find the moment before it reaches you, and you are going to learn how to build the first move your team can make before the day stops and somebody comes back into your shadow. That's it. Start with one question. Let that be enough for this week. I am Dara Forleo, and this has been After the Last Dog. I look forward to talking with you next time.